Hi, I want to talk about some ideas to hopefully stop World War III or prevent ourselves from dying in a nuclear holocaust. uh, uh, Maybe there is some ways, maybe there is some uh, change of philosophy or change of international criminal laws that would change things or the places that we are going now. Well, actually, the reason I have an interest in this topic, and I keep going there for various reasons, is because my family is everywhere. Not a whole lot of us, but I have been in the United States for 40 years, and also my relatives or my brothers or my sister, they they are very entrenched in Iranian society. I do have family that they well, the Sufi master says that our family was descendant of Qezalbash. Qezalbash were like military in Safavid dynasty era. He's very good psychic. There's probably truth to it. I had some other rumors that like we are descendants of Qajar dynasty. Anyhow, but this is an interesting topic for a lot of reasons, and I don't like seeing Iranians getting killed or Americans because I have son. He's American. You couldn't hardly distinguish him with the American. Someone he's white, and my ex, she's American, and the this has been extended. I have had many Iranian Jewish friends. I've had Jewish friends, American Jewish friends, and I am very connected. I'm part of society here and elsewhere, and with the communication modes expanding, I'm very much part of this planet. What it will do, but. I don't think that we are going to a very nice place. I think one of these days things will just or the shit will really hit the fan. But on the side note, I also study a lot of stuff that's like ufologies or ancient aliens and stuff like that. If you look at some of this literature or look at some of these videos, I'm kind of listening or watching some of the Mr. Greer's videos that the alien races, they are not violent like we are. In fact, we are, or the humanity is considered a problem and a very violent species, and these alien civilizations or alien creatures, they are very concerned about us after we develop nuclear weapons, and also they are concerned that some of our secret devices are anti-gravity devices. We could travel to other parts of the galaxy or the universe and cause a lot of problems because we are a violent species, and we go through episodes through our history, and in fact there is some evidence that the ET or Anunnaki that actually created us, or we were like slaves to them, they had tried to get rid of us in the past. There are historical records that there were floods, and there were two sets of floods, 12,000 and 11,000 years ago. Like somebody purposefully exploded a nuke bomb over North Pole, and all the ice melted, and then there were floods everywhere, because this planet is really a water planet, and water got everywhere and killed a lot of the humans. And then on top of that, after about 1,000 years or so, there was another evidence for more floods. But between humans, we also have nations that are genocidal, and they have a long history of aggression. Like the Mongolians come to mind, but besides Mongolians, there were other mid-Asiatic races that were very violent, and there were episodes of attacks. Well, the Mongolians, there were like two waves at least, that were very destructive. But well, I could look at the Jewish history, and that they go through these cycles, like like if you read the Bible, they were enslaved, and the Egyptians had a lot of trouble with these people, and they were kicked out, either voluntarily or involuntarily, and then they migrated into other countries. And they were in the Roman Empire, and the Romans had problems with them because they were buying, or they had so much influence with the senators. They made their governing Rome very impossible, because there was all this influence, and all the senators were bought and paid for by the Jewish lobby, just like today in the United States. So it ended up that they wanted to destroy them or disperse them throughout the empire, and then they wrecked the temple. This is how the first dismantling of the temple happened. These are obnoxious race of people. If you study their history, they were originally 12 tribes, but many, if you look at their flag, you see many branches coming out, like 12 branches. But several of these branches, entire branch, was captured and also was enslaved. They were enslaved in like interior of Iran or other countries, or they were outright killed. In fact, in Iranian Jewish tradition, they say that they were the 500 families that were brought to Iran or Persia at that time by Cyrus after attack on Babylon. Well, then, if you look at the current history, you see that, for example, one senator, Ilhan, made a comment that was not so favorable to Israel, and then everybody else in their Senate was making comments about her, and she took her comment back. This shows the extent of the Zionist influence in the U.S. Politics and U.S. government, which is like a small foreign nation. And then almost daily or almost weekly, there is all these bombings by advanced plane, F-15, F-14, F-20. They come in and they bomb different parts of Syria or Lebanon. Or I have a suspicion that some of these bombings, the Syrian government is letting them do it because they are mop up or clean up. They were supporting the ISIS, and there is records of people in the safe houses or places that the ISIS was active. So they come in, and it's like a mop-up operation. They come in and kill these people or destroy the building, just like a murderer would set fire to a building because he or she knows that there is a dead body there that he or she killed. So to kind of cover up all this as if it's like a war going on, but it's actually a mop up. Then in United States too, there is suspicion that like Timothy McVeigh actually exploded the federal building because there were records there that implicated different parts of the U.S. government. So, just destroying a building in such a vicious manner will destroy or kill everybody and also destroy all the records. It's just like an arsonist would want to cover up things, and we never really figured out. There is some theorists that they talk about it, and she calls it information management, the other way. But these groups, and then also at the right now, the United States and Israel and the Wahhabis, they're getting together in a club or in a Warsaw conference. I would call this a losers club, because they had under Miss Clinton another group of idiots from Turkey and Arab countries, and they got together and they brought financing and weapons, and they created ISIS, and they destroy a lot of places in Syria. And then the Syrian government, with the help of Iran and Russia, they did their own mop-up cleanup and really killed these people off. So I mean, I don't see the reason for another resurgence of these groups, because they are interested in creating more ISISes and more civil wars, all kinds of places. I think that the Europeans have kind of figured it out. Hey, we are not gonna do this. I guess the France and Germany, they did not participate, and some Arab countries in a new losers club, which is designed to destabilize many foreign countries. Well, I think that what will happen is that because of like resurgence and waves of attacks that have been taking place, like with Syria, with Libya, with Yemen, and their desire to do more, that when the tide really turns and these countries like Russia, Iran, when they get ready to really retaliate and put an end to these people, it would become very violent. I wouldn't be surprised if nukes were used on United States or Israel. I listened to Celente, and he was saying that when the end comes, it will be nukes, and it will be a lot of drone strikes. Many countries now, they have extensive fleets of drones. There is no more pilots, or they will just send the drones. And on top of that, there is extensive rockets. I was watching another program was saying that the Iranian governments, or many governments now, the Russians, they have these stealth rockets. Many of them are hypersonic. They fly very low. They're undetectable by radar or by Iron Dome or anything. And once these things are set in motion, once the dam breaks, the devastation is going to be will be outrageous if they don't use nukes or just use regular rockets. But if you listen to the stuff that the Iranian generals or I think they are saying, or I think the Russians, they are a lot more reserved, but their weapons are far superior to even Iranians or Russians. If things break out, the consequences will be catastrophic. I think that millions of people will die. I heard from Lavrov that the Russian military has embedded or has buried nukes close to the coastal borders of like New York or Washington. So if there is like a signal goes to these nukes that are buried in the bottom of the ocean close to continental USA, there isn't really a response time because many systems, defensive systems, are not designed to respond in milliseconds or nanoseconds. Usually it takes a certain amount of time to detect these movements. And if the systems are already embedded or there are nuclear submarines close to the coast, and many countries do have it. North Korea, Iran has submarines. I don't know if they're nuclear. The response time is a very minimal, less than a minute or sometimes a second. So I think it's important to look for ways to stop these few countries that engage in continuously provoke and destabilize other countries. My other lecture I was talking about United States, Russia, United States, Israel, and Saudi Arabia. But besides Saudi Arabia, the Wahhabis are in a couple of other countries like Qatar or Oman, and they send in their idiot diplomats, and they participate, and they have fat checkbooks, and they hire terrorists, they buy weapons and send them into other Arab countries or into Iran. I read in the Iranian newspaper that Savama, which is like the Iran's equivalent of CIA or Mossad, had apprehended in 1 year, I don't know what year it was, 2000 something, 30,000 Wahhabis with weapons and trucks that they were trying to cross the border, come up north. I don't know what happened to these people. I don't know. I think that there should be more teeth to United States, to United Nations. For example, there is an International Criminal Court, but United States is not a participant, and like many Arabs, I don't know if they are or not. So if there is a criminal case brought against somebody that initiates these wars, like Bolton, and even if the court condemns him and said that hey, he should be arrested and imprisoned or sent to the gallows, then the enforcement will not take place because Bolton can stay in the United States, or many countries they will refrain from arresting him. I think Kissinger was always worried about that because he knew he was a mass murderer, and if he went to some countries, he might simply get arrested by a cop, and he always checked with the country, hey, do you want to nab me? And they would say, no, we consider you a diplomat. But if like 10 or 20 or 50 countries, I think the numbers would be much larger. It would be like 120 or even more countries agreed between themselves, regardless of UN, that we are going to cite these people. And if in one of our countries or in International Criminal Court convicts these individuals, say the Qatari Emir or Wahhabi cousin, Omani or a U.S. Belligerent the politician, if one of us convicts them, then the rest of us, when these individuals come around and they give their nice song and dance, or go to Warsaw Pact or Warsaw New Idiot Conference, then we can arrest them, and between ourselves we could send them to a special court or to a prison that secure, and prosecute them or hang them. This is a better way to go than if these provocations or these war making ends up in a nuclear holocaust that a lot of Americans or Jews or Iranians or Russians will be dead. It can happen very quickly, but in this fashion, only a certain minority that instigates these things. I hope some of the American politicians, many in the Senate or in Trump administration, end up in these places. We can avoid many of us, the regular people, get killed or injured. Well, I want to end this note by saying that sometimes there is an expression in Persian. It says the guest doesn't like the guest, but the host doesn't like either. Well, if you read some of this ufology, you see that well, go check out Cliff High, and he was saying that, hey, there are aliens that really own this planet, and we are really tenants. He was talking about that there is this water organism that had traveled through the space and was hovering over the ozone layer and was repairing the ozone layer as if it's like a machine repairing. So it sounds like the host, the owner of this planet is very worried that we might significantly damage it. There is like evidence that these creatures, these alien creatures, they are secretly working to minimize these events. But why should an alien creature or alien race be more influential in trying to stop nuclear war than us, the humans? We are the majority. We should be a better tenant. Our laws, our international laws, should try to stop these countries or try to grab their militant politicians like Netanyahu and put them to death. It's better for them to die than for all these other people and for places to get entirely demolished. Well, I look at some of the proceedings of UN, and these countries like US or Saudi, they come in, they either veto UN resolutions, but UN is actually what the humanity represents, what the humanity thinks that we should do. And when a country like United States comes in and vetoes the resolutions of United States, it in effect is saying to humanity, fuck you. This, my interests, my narrow militant views are the important thing, but you don't matter. This is what it means. What the humanity should do is give teeth or criminal law, international law teeth to the UN, or institute other institutions that would do this on the side of UN if UN is incapable of doing so. Well, in a human body, the white cells, they fight foreign organisms, destructive viruses, or they either destroy them on site or or they gravitate them to lymph nodes where they are destroyed en masse. So if you consider humanity as like a human body, this is what we should be doing, or what at least we should be thinking of these things. Well, thank you for being in my YouTube channel. My stuff is research. Please subscribe and don't be shy to leave your comment.